I say that whales evolved into everything that's mammal on Earth.
They could be observed swimming
now
for
watch.
hours
on
with
this,
a
it's saying bears. All right.
Till
Look
a
at
creature
this.
was produced as monstrous as a whale.
Which doesn't happen.
Fast forwarding to the last couple of decades, leading evolutionists have developed all kinds of varying ideas about where whales come from, with the California Academy of Sciences claiming they came from creatures that look like hyenas, the Tokyo Institute of Science saying they came from a hippo-like creature, the University of Michigan claiming whales came from something that looked like a cat, the Carnegie Museum saying something like a wolf, a deer at the Melbourne Museum, and something like a lion at the American Museum of Natural History. Does it sound like some guesswork?
Yeah, it does. Okay. The reason why they got all of these results are because the whales themselves evolved into all of these mammals. It's not the other way around. We came from the oceans. You know, we didn't pop into existence out of nowhere and then decide to evolve into a whale. Okay? The ichthyosaur was mammalian and reptilian, okay? There are a lot of larger animals that were reptilian, but the ichthyosaur was actually a mammal, okay? It was actually, or at least semi-mammal. And when this last, the KT extinction happened, of course there's radiation and stuff like that. These whales themselves are cancer resistant, so they are not going to actually change much themselves, but as they pass offspring, those are going to be genetically different, okay? They're passing adaptive genes. You see what I'm saying? So all the cetaceans in the waters of the ocean became all of these mammals. You see what I'm saying? They have it backwards. They think that Ambulocetus was the walking whale that jumped into the water. But Ambulocetus was its transition out of the water into Pakicetus and all these other Archaeoceti that are on land, which are technically only a few that they actually understand. And their time frames are all messed up. They don't think that something can exist prior. Okay, say, all right, let's say they find something in this. Okay, I'll give you an example. All right, say this is a timeline here, and then there's an extinction right here. And then down the road, another extinction, okay? Now, scientists think that, oh, well, we found the dead animal in this extinction layer, therefore it had to exist this time. But they don't consider the fact that maybe it existed millions of years beforehand, and all the ones that died in between were just scavenged by animals, and the bones were lost and spread and just rot, you know? So that's why their timeline is screwed up. They think that, oh, well, it died here, so it had to only exist at this time. Nothing in between or nothing prior. It had to exist right here. Okay, you see what I'm saying? They think that just because something exists in an extinction layer that it only existed in that time and it couldn't possibly exist before or after that. Because we don't find fossils. Well, you know how many fossils we actually find? Less than 1% of the fossils that have actually died and been buried on this planet. Okay? So we're not going to find damn near everything. And then they want to act like, well, we got all the answers. You see what I'm saying? So then that just creates more paradoxes. Like them saying that all of those animals are what produced whales. Instead of saying, well, we came from the oceans, we inherit four-chambered hearts and live birth from something that had to exist on this planet. Well, right now, the oldest species on Earth that is a mammal are the whales. Therefore, the oldest progenitor with four-chambered hearts that give live birth are most likely what we evolved from. And due to its sheer size, they're not going to change too much. Basilosaurus was a whale. So, anytime when that extinction happened and the ichthyosaurs went extinct, they technically didn't go extinct. They just mutated or adapted and became what would be an anatomical whale. You see what I'm saying? So it makes more sense that we came out of the oceans than popped into existence from nowhere as ungulates and then evolved into whales. Okay? It doesn't make any sense. Where did the ungulates come from in the first place that evolved into whales? Because there was an extinction event, and mammals of large size did not exist until the extinction event. You see what I'm saying? So where'd they come from prior to that? It makes no sense, but nobody bothers to question this stuff, which leaves it all in the dark. But when you start looking at this stuff, it's like, wait a minute, this don't make any sense. Then the details start coming out, and I'm just trying to help bring those details out, you know, so we can understand where we came from better. To me, it seems like it would destroy a lot of religious beliefs and a lot of scientists' egos and all this stuff if they just came out and told us, look, we're all mutated mutants. We're all just literally mutants of whales. Okay? Adaptive radiation and cross-contamination of genes in the ocean between sharks and whales literally evolved into two separate lineages of animals, which are mammals and reptiles. Now, an amphibian is like a primitive reptile. And I explained the heart chambers and where amphibians pass their genes into us and we pass our genes into amphibians, and that's where the double helix comes from, you know. Even fish only have technically like a single helix at some point, like the elephant fish. They have primitive DNA. So at some point, the ribonucleotides enhanced and another animal came onto the scene. And then they changed and enhanced more. And the code gets more written, more written, more written, and more written. And more complicated, more complicated, more complicated every time a lineage passes a mutated gene that becomes another subspecies. You see what I'm saying? Just throwing this out there because it seems to make more sense than what they're telling us. Because what they're telling us doesn't make any sense at all. I don't see how anything can logically pop into existence from nowhere. Okay? I just don't understand. I just don't understand that. I don't understand their logic behind that. And these guys are supposed to be fucking scientists and microbiologists and shit. But they're going to have us believe that. It just makes no fucking sense to me.